What is poppin', my guys? It is your boy Ashley, and today I'm coming to you with our BBL draft analysis. Now, I know you can already see my first pick up on the screen, but let me tell you about a little bit how the draft works. This is an Ubers League. BBL stands for Bandless Battlers League, so there were a lot of Pokemon available to draft that were super overpowered that you don't normally see in leagues, so I was really excited to do this. I'm helping my friends Aaron and Flame run this league. I'm an admin there, so make sure to drop by the server. The link to the server will be in the description below if you want to come through. You'll be able to see power rankings and all that sort of stuff, as well as pick a team role to support your favorite coach. So come through and support your boy, because I am not even close to the highest supported person on the server. But we'll talk about the actual draft itself. It was a 16-man draft. I had pick number 9 in this draft, and I am super excited to say that we did get Mega-Blaziken. We have 130 points. We had sorry, I had to yell at my cat. We have 130 points for our draft. So there are Pokemon ranging all the way from 22 points, being powerhouses such as Groudon, all the way down to the 1-point tier. So you have a lot of flexibility in the way that you can handle your team, in the way that you can design your team. And I chose for a more middle of the road approach. My team isn't as sexy as some of the other teams. As a matter of fact, in the power rankings, I got the ranking of 15, and they said that it just looks like a regular draft with Mega-Blaziken, and I do agree with that to an extent, but I am going to walk you through my thought process as we go through. There's also 30 points available for Z-Mons, so they don't overlap with the amount of points that you have. You can spend all 130 of your points, and then out of those Pokemon, you pick Z Pokemon to equal 13 points. So if you happen to grab 5 1-point Mons, you could Z all of them and still have 25 Z points to go around to the rest of your team. So I thought that was really cool. But we'll go ahead and talk about our first pick, which is Mega-Blaziken. Now, I debated on getting regular Blaziken, but it did get sniped. My plan was all along to get Mega-Blaziken, just because I really wanted it, and it was 1 point cheaper, which I really liked the plan that I had lined up and set out, so that 1 point really did make a difference. Obviously, I would have taken regular Blaziken because the ability to hold items or make it a Z-Mon is disgusting, but I'm super excited to have Mega-Blaziken. Blaziken is one of my favorite Pokemon. I still have the one from my copy of Sapphire back in the 4th or 5th grade that I have traded using, Pokemon Bank and all those sort of transfer things all the way up to Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. So that's something really cool. It means a lot to me to be able to pick this Pokemon. It's an offensive powerhouse. Speed Boost is an incredible ability that lets it boost up and either A, Swords Dance in the face of somebody and immediately be at +2/+1, or B, Baton Pass, because it does get Baton Pass, that Speed Boost into something else. So that is just a Pokemon that I am really happy to have on the team. I think it's going to be a very nice captain, and its nickname is actually 100 Emoji. I will be trying to remember the nicknames that I gave them throughout this video so that I can inform you guys, and also to keep myself accountable and actually use the nicknames that I've given them instead of bouncing around like I normally do. So Mega-Blaziken is a fantastic first pick, and in the second round, I'm looking around and I'm trying to figure out what I can pair with Mega-Blaziken that is scary, right? So I decide to go with a Pokemon that I have used once in a tour, but not since then, and I've been wanting to draft it again for a while, and that is Hydreigon. So this was a bit of a stretch, this was a bit of a reach. In retrospect, I probably could have picked a better Pokemon for this slot, but I don't regret picking Hydreigon at all. I think it meshes so well with Mega-Blaziken that I really didn't want to risk waiting until round 3 to pick it up, because if there was somebody doing a similar style to me where they're not as focused on picking Ubers and they're just trying to build a well-rounded team with those 15 to 10 point Mons, then I didn't want to get sniped on it. It's immune to Psychic and Ground, which are 2 of the 3 weaknesses that Blaziken has. 2 of the 4 weaknesses that Blaziken has. And it is also resistant to water type attacks. So it doesn't really cover the flying weakness that Blaziken has, but every other weakness it covers in a stellar fashion. Now, I am a little bit hesitant to do a direct switch in with the Hydreigon into a water type, because 99% of those do pack Ice Beam, but it is really nice to know that I have a sweet option to not only back up Mega-Blaziken and get rid of some of those bulky, what's the word I'm looking for? Bulky psychic types that plague the Draft League format. But it is also just a great Pokemon in its own right. I really like the idea of passing speed into Hydreigon because that will basically free me up to not have to run Choice Scarf. This is a Pokemon that finds itself running Choice Scarf a lot, and I'm an advocate for Choice Scarf Pokemon, but with a Pokemon like Hydreigon, it's not preferable because it does have pretty decent coverage, but a lot of that coverage can't tear through a team on its own right. Like every time I look at a team that I'm going to be playing in prep, I find myself saying, oh, that can tank this hit from Hydreigon, and that can tank this hit from Hydreigon. So the ability to give it speed and also have that flexibility in its moveset is absolutely fantastic in my opinion. So next up, I wanted a nice little fighting resist because Hydreigon is definitely fighting weak, and I ended up going with Mew. Mew is just a super versatile Pokemon. I can't even tell you the role it's going to play on my team because at some point it will play every role. It can be defensive, special defensive, at base 100 with basically every move you can possibly ever want on a Pokemon. This is just the definition of a jack of all trades. This Pokemon is the glue. While Mega-Blaziken is the star, it's the superstar. I guess think about it like a basketball team. You know, you got your playmakers, and then you got the glue guys, the guys that may not show out every week, but they come in, they do things consistently, they play offense and defense, they grab boards, they take shots, they make assists. That is Mew on this team. I like the idea of having another baton passer. While we can't pass speed and other stats, it will be really nice to possibly pass speed into Mew and start setting up with the speed, or vice versa, setting up offensive and defensive boosts without speed and then passing them into Mega-Blaziken or a different Pokemon. It just adds a little bit more versatility to my team. Gives me some hazards, which I don't have yet, as well as removal, which Blaziken does get defogged, but I'm not going to be running defog on Blaziken anytime soon, I imagine. So I guess next up, also Mew is one of our Z users, and it was 17 points, meaning I only had 13 points left, which is why you don't see Hydreigon Z'd. And I did make a very interesting choice for my second Z, but we'll discuss that more when we get there. Next up, I decided to go with Excadrill. Picking Mew, I had actually really wanted Landorus T. It was more of a pipe dream. I didn't expect it to fall back down to me, but it did get picked 2 picks before me, so that was a little bit of a bummer, but Mew is definitely nice to have. However, I did want a dominant ground type, and I figured that Excadrill would be a great pickup for this team. First of all, it gives me rapid spin. Mega-Blaziken really likes not having hazards up on our side and likes having hazards on the opponent's side. So getting a very, very reliable rocker and spinner is absolutely fantastic, as well as just a very strong Pokemon overall. This is another great Choice Scarf user with Mold Breaker. It's going to let me break through some Levitate Mons and other things like that normally a ground type would struggle with. It is a little on the slow side, and it's not super bulky, but it has a slew of resistances that really open up its defensive capabilities as well. This is a Pokemon that can hold a variety of different items, have a variety of different movesets. It can boost. It is another Pokemon that could take advantage of a speed boost, as well as anything that Mew might want to pass into it. So I'm just really happy to have. This is a Pokemon I've wanted to draft for a long time, so I'm really happy to have it. And I think that having a nice cores is definitely important, and there weren't a lot of steel types left at this point that were super appealing to me, that wouldn't have me sacrificing in the ground area. This is basically, I wanted a good ground and I wanted a good steel, and I was willing to spend the points on it, but it just seemed to make sense to pick this one because it just gives me so much on my team that I didn't have at that point. But next up, we're going to go ahead and pick Tangrowth. Tangrowth is, in my opinion, and when I say this, I don't mean for everybody. I mean just for me, a top 5 Pokemon in the Draft League format. I think it fits my style really, really well, and every time I use Tangrowth, I am always blown away with how many hits it can actually take and how much damage it can actually do. Its base stats are absolutely fantastic, and that 50 speed really isn't too much of a hindrance just because of how bulky it is. It can tank most hits that you would need it to. Obviously, it does need an Assault Vest to tank on the special side, but that is a small price to pay for such a nice, versatile Pokemon to be able to come in and really just start laying down the heat on the opposition. I also really like that this is a nice water resist that is not more on the offensive side. Mew, if it's bulky, can tank water type attacks, but you obviously aim to have those resisted hits, and Tangrowth is going to be able to eat up any ground or water type attacks coming at Mega-Blaziken, especially on the physical side, and with the Assault Vest and the correct prep on the special side as well. So now we've got a nice little Blaziken and Tangrowth start to our Fire, Water, Grass, and I decided for my next pick to pick up Milotic. I was bouncing back and forth between Milotic and Suicune, but ended up deciding on Milotic just because Recover is much more reliable recovery than Rest. It obviously isn't as bulky as Suicune, but I think that it can easily get the job done. It's got great special defense. You can use the Flame Orb set, or even just running Marvel Scale on its own right, and just knowing that your opponent is going to status you in some way. Absolutely fantastic for just being in a general bulky defensive wall. It gives me a Haze Pokemon, which I think is very important in the Draft League format, especially in a format with so many Ubers that have the ability to set up. There's other Blaziken, there's Matt O'Shea. Well, I'm not gonna say. I'll bleep that out. Some other coach drafted the regular form of Blaziken, so having Milotic is going to be a nice way to come in and tank hits from that. Possibly use Z-Haze, or yes, Z-Haze, Haze, to get rid of its boost. It has Dragon Tail for phasing. It's got decent coverage. It's also got competitive as an ability, which is really nice against Intimidators, or the potential of something like a Landorus, or anything that's going to be able to drop my stats, or I can bring that competitive set and maybe start doing a little bit of denting and getting that good damage off. I did make Milotic my Z Pokemon because, as I said, it does have offensive capability with competitive. Its special attack, while I don't remember exactly what it is, it's definitely serviceable. And with so many ways to pass stats with Mew and Mega-Blaziken, I thought having a Z Milotic would be really nice, because it's just not a Pokemon that you would expect to sweep on my team, but it definitely has the capability to. And that's going to leave me with, I think, a couple of Z points, but I couldn't spend them on anything. So my only two Z Pokemon are Mew and Milotic. That may change in the future. We do get the ability to use free agencies to reshuffle our Z points, but I just want to get a feel for the team first and see if I like it. A main reason I really like having Z on Milotic is the ability to Z Haze. I know that it gets Recover and it can recover health that way, obviously, but if you can bring in a full health Milotic against something that is boosted up and eat a hit to Z-Haze, you not only will bring them back to square one and have them have to start boosting up again or switch, but you're also going to recover your health to full in one turn. So just the utility like that. It also gets crazy stuff like Z-Hypnosis. You can do Z-Hail or Z-Rain Dance, any variety of different options on Milotic to Z, so that is why I went with that. Next up, we have Raichu. I really wanted Jolteon in this slot, but it did get picked before me, unfortunately. So I went with Raichu because, first of all, it was only 5 points. I felt like that was pretty good for a Pokemon that is as flexible as this one is. It has even attack and special attacks. You can run it offensively, specially attacking or physically attacking, and it gets so many moves. That's one thing I can say that I really recommend to you if you are drafting and you have the option to pick a Generation 1 Pokemon for a steal of points. It is definitely worth it, because a lot of those Pokemon have been around for so long that their movesets are very fleshed out. You have so many options for these Pokemon that have carried over from generation to generation. If you look at other Pokemon, like Pokemon from Gen 6, and you look at their moveset, you're like, wow, this is kind of scarce. And then you go back and look at a Pokemon seemingly that might not, you wouldn't think has such good coverage, like Raichu, but it does. It has coverage to hit pretty much anything you can imagine. Lightning Rod to take advantage of people trying to Volt Switch and boost yourself up. I really liked everything that Raichu had to bring to the team, and I'm hoping that it can put in a lot of work for me as a nice little 5-point electric. Next up, we picked up Florges, because I think having a Fairy Dragon Steel of Hydreigon, Excadrill, and Florges is absolutely fantastic. I really liked the ability to just have a Wish Passer on this team. I really wanted a very bulky Wish Passer, and Florges was really the only one that fit into the plan that I was working on as the draft went on. Another Pokemon that can Haze, another Pokemon that can Defog. It's got Aromatherapy for other cleric purposes. It has Synthesis, as if you just want to worry about healing yourself and not wasting a turn with Wish. It's just a fantastic Pokemon. The only thing I can say that I don't like about this Pokemon are its abilities, because they are both exclusively useful in doubles. But again, it's not really that big of a deal because the Pokemon does everything that it needs to do without its abilities, and if it had better abilities, it probably would have been more points and I wouldn't have been able to get it. So very excited to have Florges. I'm not sure if I've used this before, but I've already forgot to do the nicknames for all of these. I will go ahead and tell you. We'll just run back through real quick. This is Migos. This right here is Benzie. This is my boy Jazzy, because he's got jazzy hands in my opinion. We have Donkey, after video game Donkey. We have Matt O'Shea, the Milotic, obviously. This is going to be Papa John. Well, I hate Papa John's, but I like the nickname for Raichu. And we have our Florges, which is Grape 5s, because there's a shiny color scheme that I like to use on Florges that makes it look like the Grape 5s, the Jordan Grape 5s, so, which is a pair of shoes that I absolutely love. But anyway, Florges, that's enough about Florges. We'll move on to our next, which is Golbat. So my team has actually developed a bit of a bug weakness, as well as really not having anything to tank those flying type hits. It's got a little bit of a fighting weakness, and Golbat 4 times resist fighting, it 4 times resist bug, and with Eviolite is absolutely fat. It is a 90 base speed as well, so for a wall it's pretty fast and gives you the opportunity to restall somebody out, maybe a Life Orb user and things like that. It's got good utility with Defog, U-turn, all sorts of crazy stuff like that. It's got Super Fang for breaking down walls, and meaning that you don't really have to run offensive centered moves. Really big fan of this. I've never used Golbat, not even on the ladder or anything, so I'm a little hesitant. I'm a little nervous to use it in a match just because I'm not sure how well it will, perform. But the rave reviews have been more than enough to convince me that this is a fantastic pick, and I'm super excited to use it. And this is my boy Goofy Bill. I like to have a Pokemon named Goofy Bill typically. So next up, I have a nice Fairy Dragon Steel. I have a nice Fire Water Grass. I've got a bulky Psychic. I've got a Electric type. I've got a nice little Poison type. It doesn't absorb Toxic Spikes or anything like that, unfortunately. But I was looking at what I wanted, and I decided that I really wanted a super effective normal type Pokemon, and I went with Snorlax. This is Caliwally the Snorlax. I absolutely love Snorlax. I toyed with it in VGC a little bit. It's just one of my favorite Gen 1 Pokemon in general, and it has so many options of things to do with its moveset. You've got Belly Drum, you've got Curse, you've got Recycle and the Gluttony, you've got Immunity to make it immune to Toxic. You have all sorts of crazy options to use with Snorlax, and I'm super excited to see where it takes me this season, just because this, as I said, it is one of my favorite Pokemon. It was 11 points. It was really nice for 11 points, and I can't wait to show you guys some ideas I have with Snorlax. I've already got some sets put together for some teams that I've been prepping for that I think is really going to be super effective, and I really don't have that much more to say. You guys know what Snorlax does. It is just a great Pokemon. It's nice and specially defensive, just naturally. It's got a very high health, so it's going to be able to tank and live a lot of hits. It's super slow, so cursing is really not even a negative to it, because it's going to be outspeeding very few Pokemon naturally anyway. So it's almost like just having a +1/+1 move, essentially. I really like Snorlax. Anyway, finally we had 7 points left, and looking at everything I had, the only thing I was missing was an Ice type and a Ghost type. So I'm bouncing back and forth trying to decide what to get, and I ended up snagging both with Frostlass. Frostlass is a nice Pokemon to cap off the team with. It is a Spike user, which is super important because, as I said, I really wanted to focus on getting some nice hazards on this team, but it didn't really end up working out that way. I really only have a couple of Pokemon with rocks, and then this Frostlass with spikes, but that's okay because I think it's going to play that role very well. It's a nice Destiny Bond user with a great speed tier of 110. It's got all sorts of crazy little cheeky moves to use, as well as Curse Body, which always, it seems like that activates far more than the rate that it should. It seems crazy how often Cursed Body activates, so I'm hoping to get some nice Cursed Body kills or Cursed Body stuns while setting up spikes, all sorts of things like that. This is going to be a great utility Pokemon on my team, as well as having the option to possibly sweep. It gets decent coverage. It doesn't have a fantastic special attack stat or attack stat, but you can definitely, as I said, we have multiple options for passing boost into this Frostlass, or I guess just one with the Mew because we can't pass offensive boost with Blaziken, but you get what I'm saying. It's going to be a nice little pick for my team, and something that's going to deter people from normal spamming me, as well as make them a little bit more aware of hazards. If I only have 2 rockers, then people are not going to be as likely to try and, or no, they're not going to feel as pressured to bring something like defog or anything like that, but being able to put spikes up is going to add a lot of offensive pressure that's really going to help mons like Blaziken, Hydreigon, Mew, and Excadrill sweep their teams. So that is all I have for this draft. I really hope you guys enjoyed it so far. Let me know what you think of the team down in the comments below. We do have a preseason game coming up very soon. I'm not sure when that will upload because I'm not sure when this will upload, but if you see this upload, just know that the pre-game match, the preseason match will be coming up very shortly afterwards, followed by, please forgive me, I do not remember the date that we are launching week 1 on, but I do have my week 1 game played. I'm currently waiting on the replay to get sent back to me so I can do my commentary, and that upload day will be on Mondays. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. Make sure to join the server down linked below, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.